Hi there, and welcome to everybody on the Wednesday Bulletin from This Is Ibrox. Today, I'm joined by the World Ranger himself, JB. How are you doing today, JB?
Yeah, very well, thanks. So back to talk about Rangers and a day of ticket and joy. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on that in a wee minute or two. And we've got debutant Jock. How are you doing today, Jock?
Not too bad. Looking forward to it.
I know this has got to be some sort of setup that you're on Buns night.
Aye, you think so?
I couldn't write it. But look, today's show, there's hundreds to talk about, as always. Going to talk about, as JB already mentioned, the ticketing fiasco that happened. Seen lots about that in social media and obviously within our own This Is Ibrox WhatsApp group. Reports on Raskin signing have gathered some pace over the last few days. That deal looks all but done. We'll discuss that in a wee bit more detail tonight as well. We'll discuss Todd Cantwell and how he quite frankly blew away most of the Rangers dads who I think were prepared for slaughter him in that first press conference. Did a lot of the right stuff. See how the squad will be affected by all these sort of new signings coming in as well. We've got Hagi meant to be returning to the squad at the weekend, which I'm very excited about. And then we'll maybe touch on Charlie McCann's move to Forest Green Rovers and maybe do a wee bit about St Johnstone if we've got time. But I'll come to you first on this, JB. On this day in 2007, Walter Smith's Rangers signed Hugo Ehiogu from Middlesbrough on a free. It's an important signing that season as himself and Davy Weir sort of really shored up what was quite a leaky defence under Paul Le Guen. I can't think of the big, was it Carl Svensson we had before? Oh my God, before he came in. But he's best remembered for that goal against Celtic, a goal I think we could all watch 100 times over and never get bored of it. But you got fond memories of Hugo Ehiogu and I was surprised when I read it was only 9 appearances for Rangers that he had, JB.
Yeah, I think he only had 9. Obviously, he was coming towards the end of his career, wasn't he? After doing really well down south. Spells it was at Aston Villa and Middlesbrough. I think he'd done quite well at Middlesbrough. Was he? I think he was involved in the couple of decent cup runs that they had and stuff. And obviously, lots of experience and came up the road. Probably just as a short-term fix to do a wee bit of a job for us. And as you said, that goal. I don't think anyone was expected. I'm sure if he tried it 99 times out of 100, it would go probably sky over the bar. And hopefully hit one of them in the face. But it was, very memorable. It was always going to be difficult for him when he come because I think Quaylar and Weir was starting to form a relationship, if memory serves me right. So, but no, best bit, obviously, good memories of the goal. And he obviously came under Walter. And I'm sure, obviously, when you read any of the tribute to him since he passed away a couple of years back, seemed like a real gentleman as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, he seems like one of football's real good guys. Jock, I'll come to you on just a wee word on Hugo. But before we get into that, I noticed something I saw on social media today when he was talking about his move up here. He said, we didn't even discuss a contract, really. I was just told, do you want to play for Rangers? And when Walter Smith is on the phone asking you that, the answer's always yes. We sorted out the money once I was up there. I think that just says everything about the guy, that he just wanted to come up and play for us, and he wasn't bothered about the contract. And again, even though it was 9 games, it was a real 9 important performances for us in that season, just steadying the ship.
Yeah, that's it. It's your sort of typical Walter Smith signing, isn't it? We know somebody who knows he can trust, can do a job up here. So he might only made the 9 appearances, but he definitely made an impact. Again, obviously famous for that goal he scored, and he definitely took the club on board for the short time he was here with us.
Yeah, he definitely made a big impact on him, and yeah, well said. It's a guy who'll be missed, and although it was a brief time up here, a guy that means a lot to a lot of people up here. Right, we'll get into it then, JB. I think you've been waiting to sort of getting your soapbox about this one. Before you get into it, there's a couple of wee things I just want to read out. It was about 12:30 today. Rangers released the ticket and information for the Viaplay Cup final. That sort of read as follows. I'll just read a wee bit of it out. Due to the demand for the semi-final and final tickets are allocated in the following priority groups: season ticket holders on CCCS, who are MyJez members, season ticket holders on CCS, and then it sort of trickles down to MyJez members' general sales. It said supporters in Group 1 with 1,267 or more MyJez points will be able to buy these tickets at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, the 24th, which was today. JB, it all sounds very simple on that. If you meet these criteria, here's the link. Go on and join it. But it sounds like it was anything but for you.
Yeah, no, it's, I mean, I think purchasing tickets is one of the most difficult things you can actually do as a Rangers fan. I think regardless of how we perform, then we're always there queuing for the next ticket, aren't we? But it's just a farce. I mean, I logged on as soon as the email come through and you knew right what time you got good to go, clicked on the link, got onto the website. I thought, well, they've actually, looks like it looked a bit slicker. And I thought, oh, we are, what's going on here? We've got a new website. We're going to fly through this. 2.5 hours later, still no ticket. It was asking me to change my address. It was asking me to check my bank details. It was asking me, couldn't add me and my dad into the same purchase, which normally you need to log in, log back out again, click on his link, and you put the two together. Wasn't having any of that. It was then saying there was no tickets available in the West Stand, and then the North Stand, and then the South Stand, and then the West Stand. So you go through all the rigmarole, and then when you do get to a payment screen, it was then just crashing. But I don't know. We do know how to make things difficult. I mean, if you've got that many people, I'd love to know what the upright take is of the tickets that get sold to people who are on the CCS. I reckon it's probably in the high 90s. So if that's the case, why put them on general sale? Why not just allocate them a ticket and say you've got 24 hours if you don't want a ticket? So therefore, instead of having a situation where you've got X amount of thousands of people trying to get onto a shocking website, I pick the words carefully there in case there's any kids listening, then just do it that way. And then via exception, via email, you then say, if you can't make the ticket or you don't want to go to the game, then email. And then say, for example, you then deal with 15 emails instead of trying to deal with thousands of people going through a website that isn't fit for purpose. Surely, there must be enough people in and around Rangers that could organise something as simple as that. But who knows? I don't know. It just, I mean, I know they've promised that the new website's going to be coming soon, and I think I've seen it on Heart and Hand. They've tweeted out to say they spoke to the club who've agreed it was unacceptable. But why can't the club do that? Do you know what I mean? Why can't we just feel as if we are part of the club? Generally feels as if we're part of the club when it suits, but when it comes to the communication side of things, it's shocking. I mean, the only thing it looks like they've updated on the new website is the font is all Rangers font. I think that's the only positive thing I can say about it. But managed to get the tickets in the end, 2 individuals. So me and my dad have got 2 tickets in the same stand. So I've emailed the club to say I bought these as friends and family, as I've done the last few years, but I've had to buy them as 2 separate tickets. So hopefully we can put them together. So we're seated together on the day. But we'll wait and see how we go.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be holding my breath out for that one, JB. That sounds like somebody needs to apply a bit of common sense to that. But something, just to go back on something you said there, you're totally correct about the communication aspect of it. You know, why is it coming out via Heart and Hand? That the club are aware that there's a ticket issue. Should that not be? I mean, fair play to Heart and Hand for going and asking the question, but should that not be available to us, through the official club's Twitter channel or whatever, just acknowledging it? Because the biggest criticism, it's something since my jersey was perhaps introduced, is that we are not supporters, we are customers very much when it comes to this. And I think that's the way a lot of us have ended up feeling. Jock, a nice easy question for your debut in the podcast to start off on, to come in here on. But we were having a wee brief chat about it before we came on. The sort of next aspect of this whole issue was a lot of people were very, very unhappy that the points threshold had just seemed to jump up a massive gap again. I mean, it's not quite there, but I mean, it's almost tripled. Last year for the same or equivalent final, you had to be in the CCCS and have 470 points, and you were pretty much guaranteed a ticket. This time it's 1,267 points, which is crazy. The SLO came out and he maybe caveated that a wee bit by saying more fans in a priority group won, and the further year on, and this point has a higher average. Also, more tickets are required by the organisers for a final v semi-final. What's your thoughts on the goalposts seem to shift so massively yet again for the Majers points.
Well, that's the thing. The demand's going to be there. So if they shift the goalposts on the points, there's less people to deal with. So maybe I'm thinking outside the box here and thinking if they shift the points to a higher number, there's going to be less people qualify. There's less traffic coming into the site. Maybe, you know, the Rangers website notoriously has been poor for years, whether it be traffic incoming, you know, the website going down, and they're trying to buy tickets at the important time. And this seems to be rumbling on even now. I know that you've said this, the website's getting redone again. Hopefully they improve the infrastructure that can deal with the amount of traffic coming to it. Speaking from the IT background, that might help matters, but because I was on Twitter scrolling through earlier, and I was seeing some of the issues people were having. It was asking them to change their details. They've logged in with the correct account information. It's popped them back out. They've logged back in again, and it tells them to update their address. Just silly things like that shouldn't be happening, especially at a club of the size of ours, where we know, and the demand has been at this club for I don't know how long now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's always going to be somebody looking at a ticket. And it should be simpler than what it is. Understand the way the Majers works now. Like you say, they're looking at us as not a fan, but as from a business perspective. A lot of clubs are going that way. I'd say it's probably the same down in England, and I think that's maybe where the club's looking, trying to take those kind of models and apply it to here, because we have the fan base for it, we have the demand for it. But certainly shifting the goalposts at such a late time, I don't think that's going to rub a lot of people up the wrong way, and the Majers numbers might be impacted for that coming the renewals next season.
Yeah, it's a really difficult one. It's no matter what happens, and I think as frustrated as we all are, I think the club are just going to keep doing this because they know that the demand's there, and that's ultimately the most disappointing thing. Like just even a wee token gesture of something just would be good, especially given that John Bennett was on in his interview earlier on this season saying that communication improvement would be one of the big things. JB, I'm just going to come to you on this next point about the ticketing. There was actually a tweet we put out on our This Is Ibrox Twitter account. Go give us a like and follow on that. We asked, how would you change it? And there was a suggestion here, and it just said it was quite good. It was from Loyal KP7, and he said, scrap Majers, add a levy of £20 on its season ticket cost to the fans who want to be considered for CCCS away games, and return to the old potluck ballot for away games, no categories. What do you think about that as a suggestion? To me, okay, the club might lose a bit of income from it, but in terms of supporters, it seems like the fairest way to do it.
It's a real. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's no right way to do it. Let's have it right. In terms of the demand, it's probably pretty much unrivaled. I mean, my little brother, he's actually a season ticket holder with Everton, so I get to see the way their journey is. So for Everton, for you to get an away ticket, you need to have been to the last 27 away games and not missed a game. So they've got a population of probably about 1,200, 1,300, 1,400 people who are all in that category. Now, similar to Rangers, it's not all the 1,200 people that go. Do you know what I mean? So one guy applies and then he just keeps his name ticking over, then the tickets get handed out, which is fine, because otherwise supporters clubs and stuff wouldn't be able to function unless that kind of piece was in play. But it's just frustrating. I mean, obviously I live down south, so any tickets that I kind of get, even for home or aways, I'm lapping them up and jumping all over them. But in terms of the regularity and the best way to do it, you're not going to find a fair way. I do think the travel club should have been treated as an exception. I think that was something that, I won't bore you on that one, but I've gone back and forth with the Rangers SLO on that one a few times. I was up to pretty much max on that, and then overnight disappeared. And then obviously then led to not being able to get a Europa League final ticket through the official channels, despite going to the arseholes of absolute nowhere in Europe.
Yeah.
And, do you know what I mean? There was I remember going to Skopje and crossing the border between Greece and Macedonia, and with guys getting on buses with guns and that. That was when it was low, going over there for a 0-0 and not getting a shot, and Jamie Murphy playing up front on his own. But it's one of them. It's how do you please people? I mean, I think that the fairest way would probably be open bracket, tick the box if you're a season ticket holder, and then away you go. But we're probably too far down the line for that now. So any idea is a good idea, and I do sympathise with the club in the fact that you're never going to be able to please everyone. You've got supporters buses that want to probably take 50 to every away game. You've got individuals like me and my dad who would probably want to travel together to every away game. And then you've got some people who might just want to, then you've got all the other elements. Obviously, you've got your fans with disability challenges in terms of their allocation and how they're treated when they get to opposition grounds and stuff. So it is a minefield, but one thing's for certain, the club just don't speak to us enough. We have these mystery engagement sessions that nothing ever comes out.
Yeah.
We send out surveys to say, this is what you think of my jersey. You never find out the results. So somebody's sitting in an office with a survey monkey sitting there with a file, but they don't share it. So it's almost a case of what's the point? But let's look. We've got a few positive things to talk about anyway.
Yeah, no, there's been so much transfer talk in that, and as I said,
I agree,
too much chatter on social media to gloss over something like this, because as you said, I feel like it's like a broken record. We have had talks like this before, and it's everybody's experienced the ticketing issues, and the sooner the better for a new ticketing website. I wholeheartedly agree with you there, JB. Look, Jock, I'll come to you in the next talking point here. Reports on Nicolas Raskin all been but done. There's several replaces reporting already that a pre-contract's certainly been agreed, with a medical having taken place in London a couple of days ago, and that it just looks like that Rangers and Standard Liège are sort of finalising a transfer compensation. What's your thoughts on Rangers signing a guy of the profile of Nicolas Raskin, Jock?
He looks like a Beale player. I think he's just going to fit right into that midfield, sitting back and just spraying passes about. Because I read Kai's report that he did on him, and he put that out on Twitter there. And then I did a wee sort of YouTube hunt. Now, I don't really believe in YouTube videos, because YouTube videos, the games that you see them play, they're open games. They're not the games that Rangers are going to play out week in, week out, where there's a flat back, two back, banks of four, bank of five. There's no space to spread passes about. But he has ability. Looking at it, his ball retention's very good. He likes a tackle. Sort of, I've seen people comparing him to Kevin Thompson, but I think he's better than Kevin Thompson because he can play 40, 50 yards into channels in behind. And I think Kent and Sakala are going to be the beneficiaries of that. He's going to drive us up the park from deep in the midfield. He seems to be a very forward-thinking player, very direct player, and it's something I think our midfield's been lacking for, I say, a good 3-4 maybe plus years.
Yeah, no, that's bonus points there from the up above. So this is Ibrox for some promoting of Kai's article there, Jock. I'm sure that'll keep them happy. But JB, just a similar question to you. It was Rangers Review. That was a really, really good interview with. I'm going to butcher this name. Like Morelos was butchering buns earlier on. But Sasha Tavoleri, the Belgian journalist on the Rangers Review, he said he seemed to highlight his aggressiveness. He loves a tackle. He seems to be quick, not hesitating when he's playing. It's literally like he's been watching this podcast, all the things that we've been moaning about for the last 6 months, and said, here's a player that can do all of those things, and he's a Belgian under-23 internationalist. What's your thoughts on us? It looks like we've got a guy like Raskin on the books.
Yeah, I mean, when he was linked initially, I almost thought he was going to be out of our reach. To be perfectly honest, I thought he'd been linked with Leeds. I think he'd been linked with Barcelona, but like everyone else, to be fair. But he'd been linked with some decent clubs, and then that kind of went quiet. So you kind of wrote him off. And then the start was then obviously the start of this season, and then he was linked with Marseille and a few teams in France. which, as you say, the journalist yesterday kind of dismissed to say no. The only link was it with Toulouse with his old manager. But no, I think he ticks the box in terms of what we've been looking for from a Rangers midfielder. Don't get me wrong, I am going to miss Jack to Lundstrom, Lundstrom to Jack, Jack to Lundstrom, back to Goldson to Davis, back to Lundstrom to Jack. But it will be good to have somebody that sounds if he's quite direct as well. So he's not just someone that's going to sit in front of the back four. And as Jock touched on there on Kai's piece on the website, it's almost a case of he will offer us something different. I think we've got enough of the players who can make you 5-10 yard passes. So we just need to be probably patient with the kid. He is a young lad. He's going to be coming in to play in front of a very demanding crowd. He hasn't kicked the ball, I don't think, since November. So by the time similar to Cantwell, by the time he does come in, we're just going to need to rally around him and make sure he's ready. I do think it's a real smart move, and I know it's something we're going to discuss a wee bit later on. But getting guys like Cantwell and Raskin in, so they're good to go for the start of next season. I think it's a really clever model if we can pull it off.
Yeah. Just want to say thanks to Jim Sloan there. That's really appreciated coming into the channel. Yeah, totally agree with you there, JB. I'm going to stick with you in this next question because it's something that I've had a wee think about myself, and it's how do you feel about, especially guys like Cantwell? Rangers have been pretty vague on the deal and how long it is and the fee that was agreed. Again, and I know we're talking and it might happen here. It's not officially confirmed yet, but if Raskin does join, what do you think about us? I've seen it rumoured about 900,000, £1 million to get a guy 6 months from the end of his contract. What's your thoughts? Do you think that's us wasting money, or are you happy to get them in and get them working, looking for next season?
Given the circumstances that we're in, if we were, let's just say, for example, there was 3 points in it, or we were on there or thereabouts with the same amount of points, I'd probably be looking for players that we just guarantee we're going to hit the ground running, which it does prove difficult because the amount of players that come in. If there was ready-made replacements out there, we'd probably try to get them in the door earlier. But I think targeting players like that, it's always going to be a gamble. I can see, and I said this to my dad when Beale come in, I can see us targeting this profile of players. So maybe players whose careers maybe just dropped a wee bit and maybe just need a bit of an injection. It's not as if we're signing a Ramsey or a player that's coming to the end of his career and go, you know what, he's been to 5 clubs and no one's been able to get a tune out of him. These lads are still hungry. They're still good. They've still got a lot of potential in front of them. Raskin's obviously off the back of Belgium under 21s. And Cantwell has obviously had some experience playing with the England youngsters as well. It wasn't too long ago he was keeping the Smith Rowe from Arsenal out of the England under 21 team. And obviously with some big moves as well. There's actually a real good video, and I agree with Jock in regards to when you YouTube a player. I remember watching Sibo years ago and thinking we had the new Wayne Rooney. There's a real good one on there. They just show his clips against Liverpool. They just follow him for the 90 minutes, and I think the video lasts about 6 minutes. But it just shows his real clever movement and really showed what we didn't have that night at Anfield, and at Ibrox in the second half. We didn't have a player that was prepared to get himself into a bit of space, drop a shoulder, beat a man, and open the game up. I think it is a really good model. If we can get players in, they're not all going to work. Let's have it right. But if we can get enough of them in, I think you only need 1 or 2 of them to probably work on every cycle. And there's potential to make some decent money on them as well. So, no, I'm all aboard.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting point. I think that's just something for myself in particular. You know, Curry Muncher makes a very good point here. That money's nothing in the football world. It is, to me, it feels a lot spending £1 million on a player that we could just get for nothing in 6 months. But yeah, I totally agree with you. It's got to be the market that Rangers are looking to do well in and have done well in the past with it. Jock, I'll come to you in the next point here, and it's about the Todd Cantwell press conference. As I said, I think he what's the word I'm looking for? Impressed Rangers Daz all over the shop with his patter. He seemed to be saying all the right stuff, and really, really talking well about it. What was your thoughts on a guy like Cantwell coming in, and how impressed were you by his initial press conference?
Yeah, the press conference, he speaks very well. he's got a confident player. He was honest as well. I watched the Sky interview this morning in the trophy room, and he was honest in saying that obviously things didn't go as planned for him. There was chat. I think with Liverpool were maybe looking at him couple of years ago, because again he would fit their sort of profile. But he's got the quality, he's got the ability. He's a Premier League player. Anybody that plays in the Premier League, he'll do for Rangers. I like his boots. Did you see his boots?
Yeah.
And I'd say he'll have been advised as well. I'd say who's it? Ken? I was going to say Kenny. It's not Kenny McLean. Is it Kenny? Who's down in Norwich with him?
Yeah, it's Kenny McLean.
Kenny McLean. I'd say he'll be speaking to him. He'll got plenty of info, so he knows what Rangers is about because he's come out and he's saying the right things. And I think he's going to be a special player for us. I really do. I think he's going to do business, and he plays with a smile. So one thing I noticed was looking through clips of him, you can tell he's happiest when he's on the park. And somebody who's going to do that and he gives 110%, he'll fit right into this Rangers team, no bother. And all the Rangers dads will be happy enough as long as he's given everything he's got.
Yeah, maybe let those Balenciagas that he was wearing slide or forgiveness, because that was another thing that was getting talked about a lot on social media yesterday. Look, GB, I'll come to you in the next question here for about Todd Cantwell. It's just a couple of things that he said in his press conference. It was number one. It was about Beale, to be honest with you. He said that he was impressed by Beale's incredible depth of detail in the brief conversation that he had, and he's another guy that said that he's known Beale for a while now. I'm going to be careful on the way I say this, because I was slightly worried that Beale didn't quite have the same ability to attract players of the stature of Cantwell, purely because Gio was in before. Obviously, massive profile in the footballing world. And Steven Gerrard, well, you don't even need to say anything about that name as well. Beale, he's 7-8 months into his first job as a manager. It's really impressive to hear guys like Cantwell talking about Beale's coaching knowledge.
Yeah, I think everyone you kind of hear talk about Beale seems to say nothing but great things. Yeah. I think the way that Ryan Kent talks about him in terms of the relationship he's had with him since he was young. The Aston Villa goalie, Martinez, I don't know if you've seen that one on YouTube, him talking about Beale, and said it's the first time he's ever been at a club where there's two managers. There was obviously Gerrard that was the mouthpiece, but then obviously there was Beale that was behind the scenes that was doing the heavy lifting, if you will. And I think we very much as a fan base kind of thought that was the case when we were when Gerrard came in, and we obviously started to hear about this fella in the background that was doing the noise. He's been to Brazil, he's ran coaching academies, he seems to have been involved in a lot. So I've got this bit of a theory that sometimes that you don't necessarily have to be a great player to be a great coach or a great manager, as long as you've got something a wee bit different. And I definitely think that Beale's got that. I think you're seeing that at the moment now in the Premier League. But if you look at the teams out with maybe one or two, out with maybe Guardiola and Arteta, there's not a lot of great ex-players playing down there. A lot of them are really good coaches, whether that's been Potter, the lad at Brighton. I dare say Davy Moyes has carved himself out a decent career, but again, not great players, but they've got that something about them. Sir Alex Ferguson wasn't a fantastic player, but again, had something about him that managed to get the most out of people around him and tried to do things a wee bit outside the box as well. So, no, I think it bodes well. I do think, and back to that earlier point, the profile of the players I expect to see coming into the club now will be around that 23-24 range. Maybe haven't hit the heights that were previously expected, but coming to us as a platform, if you're not going to get a better place to showcase yourself. We're going to have lots of the ball, we're going to win lots of games, and there's going to be an opportunity to play in Europe as well. So hopefully the future's bright.
Yeah, definitely. And Jock, I'm going to come to you in the next wee point here that I was really impressed. And something I don't think I've ever heard somebody say in a Rangers press conference before, when he was asked about his style of play, where can you see him playing? He said something that he's very passionate, and it's very important being on the winning team, but it's important to be in a possession-based team. And he says that's going to suit his style of play. He's looking forward to a free-flowing attack. Geez, oh man, the amount of tongue twisters I've written down in this bloody bit of paper tonight, which will give him a lot of space to go in and give and create. I was genuinely just getting so excited. Like, my jaw was open when he was saying all this stuff, because again, I feel like he is the exact type of profile that we have been crying out for in a while. What's your thoughts on a comment like that?
I think he obviously knows what he's coming into, and I think Beale's obviously set him up for that. This is how we're going to play. He sold him I think he's going to be a key part of that. He was talking about how he could see things that maybe other people can't in terms of passes, which, again, when a player tells you that's what he's here to do, you're going to get excited about that. That's what you want to see, because that's our biggest problem is breaking down teams. It has been for years, because we're too many passes left to right, especially under Gio. It was the same thing, rinse and repeat, pump the ball in the box, nothing happening. He's going to be that guy that I think can unlock that for us. See things, slip through different passes, and just create more chances. Plus, from what I was looking at, YouTube videos of him, he shoots when he's within a certain range of the box. He's not scared to shoot. He's very instinctive. He sort of takes it, he doesn't take that extra touch that maybe Alfie seems to do, or maybe a couple of our midfielders do. They always want that extra touch for some reason. He's instinctive. He sees the goal and he hits it. So that's something we want to see. And I'm really excited for this guy. I really am.
Yeah, 100%. Look, GB,
sorry, Carl, there's a question come up there saying that, I think it was JJ said he was worried about his assists and goal contributions in the last few years, in the last 40 games. I think one of the things that we're going to see from him, I think he'll pick the ball up a lot off the back four.
Yeah.
So I don't think it necessarily is going to be someone that is going to hang around like a number 10. I think everyone will be surprised at the amount of ground that he covers. So it wouldn't surprise me if you see him dropping in for that touch in between the lines. You might find he might be the second assist. I can picture him maybe getting the ball, running at teams, beating a man, getting it out to Kent, getting it out to Sakala, Tab, whoever it is in the wide positions, and then the goals coming from there. So it wouldn't surprise me, especially at Ibrox, if we do just go with that one sitter. And then you've maybe got in front of them, we've got the likes of a Tillman, a Hagi, a Cantwell, and then real ball dominating players. And he likes to put a shift in as well and get his foot in. So that hopefully eases some fears in terms of goals and assists.
Yeah, that's it. There's one word in amongst all that I've picked out that's pleased me the most, and it's hard working. That's all you want from a Rangers player. If they've got the flair and the attacking impetus there as well, then it's a bonus. But I'm hoping he's going to entertain us every time we're at Ibrox. So look, GB, the flip side of that point, and going on the assumption that Cantwell, Raskin, and Whittaker will be coming in, as they seem to be the three that we've certainly got very, very strong links with this transfer window. How can you see that affecting the current Rangers team? And what I mean by that was, going on what Beale says, I think we can trust him at his word. He's very open, very honest. He has said he only wants starters in, so we've got to presume that these guys will be starting, maybe not initially in a few games, but certainly towards the latter stage of the season. I expect these guys to be starting. So what do you think? I mean, do you see guys like Sakala getting dropped out of the team, Lundstrom missing out on it there, especially if Raskin's coming in, or do you see Tillman getting dropped deep? Like, how do you see this impacting the squad as a whole?
Yeah, I think it'll be a good mentality test for a few of them, because I think a few of them are probably had it a wee bit easy. There's a couple in there that maybe even if we don't play well, there's a very good chance they're going to be in the 16 the following week. I think that was one of the things in the 55 season, is you genuinely didn't know what the starting 11 was going to be. We kind of had a feel of what our strongest 11 was. But in terms of the variation that season, Aribo was the perfect example. He was popping up here, there and everywhere in terms of giving the manager different options and where they can play. I think some of the players as well have looked leggy. So hopefully having the extra players should hopefully reduce the amount of injuries that we have. as long as the management team utilised the squad. I'm still raging over Tom Lawrence when we'd only made 3 subs at Ibrox at home to Ross County, 4-0 up before, and then 2 minutes later he got smashed. It's almost a case of, I hope that we utilised the squad well. I don't think there's any excuse for that once we've got games won and out of sight, which they don't like to do for us that often. I think having the bigger squad and having that extra level of quality should hopefully increase the quality in training, and hopefully we see that on the pitch as well. I mean, some of the benches over the last few weeks, you've looked to it and gone, right, who can change it when it's been tight? And you're looking at single digits as to people who you do one on. So no, it's I think at the end of the day, and as I said earlier, if the players who are there at the moment aren't excited by these players not coming in and giving them competition, then they're at the wrong club.
Yeah, 100%. And Jock, same question to you. How do you think that the squad will be affected in terms of? I mean, do you think it's fair that a guy like Sakala will likely lose out if we do bring in somebody like Whittaker, given the rich vein of form that he's in at the moment? And as Paul McGarrigle says there, I think it's a great comment. With the new players and injured players back, the first 11 in the bench will be so strong. I mean, it might be frightening how strong our squad might be.
Yeah, I think that the bench, like GB said, the bench is somewhere that's sort of it's not been lacking for a while now. New signings, new blood coming in, it's going to get people looking over their shoulder. JB was right, particularly Kent has, especially I'd say for about 18 months now, that left side's been his. Whether he's been consistent or not, or he's had a couple of bad run of games, he's always starting. And these new players coming in are going to improve the squad. They're going to improve the starting 11. They're going to improve the bench. Everybody's going to have to up their game if they want to start for Rangers, if they want to play for the shirt. They're going to have to work harder, and that's what we want. We want the best, the best players that train that week start. They don't want the same team going out because it's all we've got, because we're not looking to the youth team to bring players in, bar an injury, So boys like Sakala's been pretty consistent. He's get his numbers is up there, the stats is up there. I know Tillman does seem to get a hard touch from a lot of the Rangers fans, but his stats is up there as well. So as long as everybody's contributing, these guys they're not going to come in, like you say. Obviously, Cantwell and Raskin and haven't started for a while, so they're going to take time to get sort of bled into the team. The current squad then will have to up their game because they know these guys are coming in, and that can only be a good thing.
Yeah, 100%. It's, I think we're hopefully going back to a wee bit more from what the Gerrard era was. There's 2 players for every position, and everybody's fighting in competition. Because I mean, you've hit the nail on the head exactly for me. It did not matter how bad Ryan Kent was playing. He was in the squad week in, week out, and thankfully that Beale seems to put a wee bit of fire back into his belly, and you could do a whole separate pod, and should be offer Kent a new contract, Morelos a new contract, but we'll leave that for another time. Jock, I'm going to stick with you on this, and it's about Charlie McCann. And his trip. It was confirmed yesterday that Charlie McCann had made a move to Forest Green Rovers. Again, I think there was a small fee agreed, and a sell-on clause involved there, and a first buyback option as well, which seems to be something that Rangers are inserting into a lot of the clauses for the youngsters that they're sending out nowadays. I'm keen to get your thoughts on this. What do you think? Do you think this was just a case of Charlie McCann just at the end of the day just wasn't good enough for Rangers, given that he was arguably couldn't get in ahead of an injured John Lundstrom, or are you a bit disappointed that he wasn't given a bit more of a chance, given the fact that it very much looks like Stephen Davis is played his last game for Rangers, and he was being lined up as the mini Stephen Davis?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a wee bit disappointed because I did want to see more of him, but I'm one of those advocates. I want to see more of all the youth players in the Rangers team. Unfortunately, we're not being in the position to sort of bleed them into games when we're sitting 4-0 up. We've not been putting teams away to afford that opportunity for players like McCann and like Lowry. Devine got a run in the team because of injury. It's the same with King. But McCann, yeah, I'm disappointed. But he came up from Manchester United. We signed him from. Am I right?
Yeah.
So you come up with obviously a bit of pedigree if he's been at Man United. It was Gerrard signing as well. So Gerrard obviously and Ross Wilson at the time obviously thought this could be one for us. We could get into the team. Anytime he's come on to the first team, he's looked okay. Can't see him doing anything wrong. But I guess he's just not being good enough, or Beale just doesn't think he's good enough, and he's at that stage in his career now where he needs to be playing. He needs to be playing week in, week out. Because obviously the kid's got ability, but he just needs to be able to showcase it, and he's just not be able to do it here. So he goes off to Forest Green Rovers with everybody's best wishes, and I do hope he kicks on from there.
Yeah, 100%. He's got a tough start there. I think the manager just got sacked today as well. And but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they're doing down there. Forest Green Rovers is one of these clubs you always hear about. Seem to be always in the right side of the environment and treat their fans quite well, which I always quite like to hear. Look, I come to you next on this one, JB. I wasn't really planning on talking about this, but seeing as there's a lot of people talking about it in the comments, it wasn't on my agenda. So this is a wee bit left field, but it's about this RFC 56 puts here. We all know he's really keen on bringing in a new striker into Rangers, doesn't really rate Morelos, but Millwall about to buy Nisbet for 2.5 million. So I think we should take him. Really keen to get everybody's thoughts in the comments on this as well. But Nisbet, what's your thoughts? Would you be looking at a guy like that at Ibrox, given Roof's injury problems, given that Morelos looks like he's off in the summer and he's a proven goal scorer in the SPFL?
Yeah, I mean, he also ticks that, which seems to be getting talked about more than ever at the moment in terms of the homegrown quota. I think he's got ability. I'll probably lean towards Shanklin myself if it was an option between the two, because I think you'd probably be looking to pay similar money. I do think he would give us an outlet, something different. I can't picture him ever standing out though, whenever he's played against us, but he's probably been involved with some really poor Hib sides. But he's he's a different option, probably a different what's the word I'm looking for? Different portfolio to what we've got in terms of other strikers at the club. He's sort of someone that can play up front on his own, and he can also play as part of it too as well. The challenge you're going to have when we're dealing with clubs like that is going to be anything we bid, they're going to just want more and more and more. I think he's had a couple of ACL injuries in his career, as well as Douglas just put up there. I think if once you have a couple of them, the next one's net doesn't tend to be too far around the corner. I thought he looked a bit heavy when we seen it when he started to come back. So maybe he needs another good season, another pre-season to see how he bounces back. But I think in terms of, and just back to that, the Shanklin point there, I'm not too sure what his deal looks like in terms of how long he's got left. I think if you give me the choice between the two, that's where I'd go. I just think in terms of being able to score goals, it's an option. He ticks a lot of boxes. But again, I'm not overly convinced, but I wouldn't be disappointed either. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't take him as a Morelos replacement. But I'd certainly take him as another option for the rest of this season, certainly. Get a couple of years out of him and potentially have a sell on. So how old is he now anyway? Is he 26, 27? Something like that?
Yeah, there or thereabouts. I'm sure somebody will tell us in the comments. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I think he is right about that age as well. But yeah, look, I'll come to you in this next point, Jock. I think this is our very own Scott Patterson here, just checking in on us. He said, I'd rather bring back Scott Nisbet. it's a no from me. You know, I don't know how I feel about this one. I think we know that Nisbet's no great lover of Rangers Football Club. But you know, that being said, at the end of the day, as a professional football player, it's maybe slightly different from these guys. And I know that I've heard that, you know, when you're a professional football player, you might, you know, you've heard guys talking about they're not Man City fans, but ended up playing for Man United type thing. It's a totally different animal up here. Where do you stand in the whole Kevin Nisbet debate, Jock?
He's a goal scorer. Anybody that scores goals in the SPFL is going to be used to somebody. With the rare he was scoring goals for us than Hibs against us, you know what I mean, or Celtic against us. Aye. Shankland again. Listen, they're both two different types of players, but they score goals. Traditionally, we have always went and pinched somebody's striker in the league. That somebody that's scoring goals for somebody else. The only one I can think of at the top of my head is Bleachka. Smith brought him in and scored a couple of important goals, got us across the line. But we've done it for years. Naismith's another one. We've scoring goals. Boyd's the biggest example, obviously. Boyd. Chris Boyd. To me, like you say, not a Morelos replacement, far from it, but somebody that could come in, do a job. Absolutely, either one of them would probably do. But like you say, ACL injury on Nisbet, a bit of worry, especially if he's had a couple of them. And Hibs have been notoriously difficult to deal with over the years when it comes to players. So I think we'd probably go to the table, and if they probably end up walking away because they'll be looking too much money. The same with Hearts as well, but rightly so. Hearts are sort of flying at the moment, so they're not going to let go one of their biggest assets without getting a hefty fee for them. So for me, I wouldn't really be care if either one of them landed at the club. If they score goals, that's all that matters. But I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I think it was Caroline who made a very good point. Anyway, I just don't see Hibs doing business with us anyway. I think if we were to go in and inquire about Nisbet, I think we'd be looking at a 4.55 million fee there. And as Douglas McIntyre just at the perfect time come in and says the Rangers tax would be applied to it. Look, so JB, I'll come to you on the next point here. We will look ahead, maybe do a wee look ahead. I know we've not had the press conference from Beale, but I think our next podcast will be on Saturday after the game. So we'll maybe just do a wee brief look ahead to the St Johnstone game. Sort of biggest talking point from that, if I remember correctly, Beale said a couple of weeks ago in a press conference that he was expecting Hagi to be back for this game fit. By all accounts, I think it was doing the rounds on social media today. I can't remember the name of the Romanian journalist, but he said that Hagi, there was a bounce game in training and Hagi back to an assist and a goal. What's your thoughts on playing St Johnstone on an actual football pitch this time at the weekend? And what's your thoughts about potentially having Hagi back in and around the squad?
Yeah, I think Hagi and Souttar. I think when Beale mentioned it a few weeks back, that was the game that they were kind of targeting. There was no chance they were throwing him into the mud bath that was St Johnstone last week. But I think in terms of this week, I think even just psychologically, I think it'd be great to have him on the bench. If we could have a bench of Souttar, Hagi and Cantwell on Saturday, I think that would just give the whole place that wee bit of a lift. And again, if you can get them on for the last 10-15 minutes and it's not a risk, I think it would be great. As Ian Mitchell's put there in the comments, I think it would just give the whole place a lift, and probably internally within the club as well. I think everybody knows he's been out for a real long period of time. He didn't have the best of seasons last season, but I think he was probably just the victim of the changeover of manager. Never really nailed down a true position, but he's another one that he's just got numbers in the bank, like in terms of, and again, without bouncing back too much to the 55 season, he was in double figures for both goals and assists. So if you've got players like that, then Joe Barisic is bad, but they're more. I'm sure if we could get Hagi's, if we get more players who can get numbers for us, then I think we'll be happy. We won't be a million miles away. You've only got to look at someone like Sakala when you talk about numbers. They're not going to do it for 90 minutes. Do you know what I mean? But if they can hit double figures for both goals and assists, I think we'd be in a good place. So yeah, looking forward to seeing him back. But I also see he's been linked with a move to Galatasaray.
Yes.
I think that's just probably a wee bit of nonsense given the fact he's just signed a new contract and stuff. But no, looking forward to having him back. So I think he definitely will add value.
Yeah, totally agree with everything you've just said there, JB. Jock, Curry Muncher here, really good point. Cantwell and Hagi on the bench would be massive, and if they both get minutes, what a boost to the whole squad. How excited are you to... I mean, even when I was talking about what Cantwell was saying earlier on, I kind of totally forgot about Hagi. The potential of having two creative players like that on a pitch, I mean, that really, really excites me. What's your thoughts on having two guys available like that for the weekend?
That's it. It's like you say, it's exciting because you know what Hagi can bring, because we've seen it before. He has something special. He can just decide to say he can pull something at his arse sometimes.
Yeah.
Interesting, the Galatasaray link. Galatasaray, I think, have been coming in him for at least 2 or 3 years. Is his dad not something to do with Galatasaray? I think there's a family tie there.
Yeah.
So I think that's just nonsense. Like GB says, he just signed a new contract, which I think came as a surprise to a lot of people when that was first announced. Because I think it was one of the first things Beale did when he came in. He said there would be an announcement shortly, and I think everybody sort of thought maybe Kent or Morelos, but then it was Hagi, because most people, me myself included, you forget Hagi's there.
Yeah.
Because he's been away for so long. So I'm glad to see him back, and I hope he does get some minutes on Saturday, because like JB says, I think it'll lift everybody. It'll lift him as well, because he'll be itching to kick a ball, and he loves Ibrox, like as we all know. So looking forward to getting him back and just seeing him on the pitch again and get the numbers into his legs, and then get him fighting for a starting position and hopefully scoring and creating goals for Rangers.
Yeah, that's it. Pete Lawrence here has a wee comment. What about Suter? Will he be back? I also forgot about him, but again, if I remember correctly, Beale did say that this was the game that he would also be back for this. I'll stick with you in this one, Jock. What do you think about a guy like John Suter, and where can you see him fitting into the squad for the rest of the season? And the other question I've got for you is, assuming everybody's fit, I think I remember saying that, and guys in the comments can correct me on this, but I think I remember him saying that Cholak was potentially back fit for this one as well. So, given that we've got a new signing, a couple of high-profile players returned from injuries, how do you see us lining up, and where do you see Suter fitting into the squad for the rest of the season?
I think Suter's going to have a hard job shifting Goldson and Davies in the middle. They two are, they're getting there. That partnership's forming, and that's what we need, is a stable back four. In terms of Cholak, we knew, I think it wasn't going to be risked at the weekend last week up that pitch, so good to see him back as well. It's competition. Again, it's competition for places. It's giving us options as well. The bench is going to look really strong. So I'm sure no matter what lineup he picks, the bench is going to be strong, and St Johnstone will be mindful of that as well. I'm just looking forward to seeing a strong bench where we've got options that we can, if things aren't going our way, we can turn to the bench for a change, and instead of looking at going, geez, who's going to come on and do something for us here because it doesn't look good. So I would like to see Cholak get some minutes, because he hasn't been on the park for a while. So even if he come on and even nick a goal or two, would be good for his confidence. And if Suter comes on and gets a run at again, it's good for his confidence and good to get minutes into the legs of all these guys,
Yeah, totally agree with you there. It'll be interesting to see. I think this will be the strongest squad we've had in a wee while. And JB, I'll come to you on the next sort of point here. Was I felt that the last game we played against St Johnstone, I mean, you can blame the pitch all you want, but I just felt that Rangers were a bit lethargic. Took a wee while to get going. I'm expecting a different Rangers to start this game, and if you wouldn't mind giving us a wee predicted lineup as well.
Yeah, I mean, we can't step away from the fact they've just come off a really heavy week, in terms of the 120 minutes on the Sunday, and then the playing on the plastic pitch, which looked worse than ever, by the way.
Yeah.
Wednesday, it looked like Hamilton Accies, it looked. I mean, I don't think it's even 4G. It says it's 3G. It genuinely looked like a hockey pitch. So sometimes when you see these AstroTurf pitches, you think, oh, they look nice on the eye. That just looked horrible. And you could tell the bounce of the, I know it's the same for both teams, but the bounce of the ball and everything just really looked really awkward. But in terms of the weekend, yeah, I mean, I know Cholak come on for the last couple of minutes, didn't he? I don't think he even got a chance to touch the ball. But we've just got to start aggressive. I'd like to see us with the talent and the options that would then, if everything goes according to plan on the bench, I'd like to see us really going for them. Just one holding midfielder, three in front, whose job is just to terrorise the opposition and get at them. And probably a really good game for Cholak to start if he's got the minutes. I think Alfie, by all accounts, is carrying a knock. He's carrying a bit of weight, mind you, as well, but he's definitely carrying that knock still. He still sees there's no acceleration in him at all. So I think if we can get Sholak in, he does strike me as an Ibrox player. Sholak, he seems to be in the right place at the right time. Probably won't have to work as hard at Ibrox because you're going to have probably lads around him that'll probably do his running. So real aggressive start for me. And as I say, the players have had a good week off now. I think the big decision now is what he does with that holding midfield. That's going to be the bit that's interesting for me. I think if we see two of Jack Lundstrom and Kamara, I think I'll be quite disappointed, to be perfectly honest, unless one's really going to sit and let the other one go. But no, looking forward to it. Should be good.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I just, as everybody's saying in the comments, just the possibility of Cantwell, Hagi, Kent, Tillman, all being on the pitch at the same time. Just, I mean, that is really, really exciting. With the addition of one player, we look like hopefully a different beast. And yeah, the proof will be in the pudding on Saturday. Jock, the last thing before you go, I'm just looking for a wee quick score prediction and how you think any scorers, if you'd be so bold as well.
I'll say 4-0. I'll say Sakala, Tillman, a Tav penalty. And I'll go say a golden header.
Oh, there we go. That would be nice. And yourself, JB?
I'll go with a 1-0 win. We'll score it after the first 5 minutes, and then we'll hold on. And no, seriously, I think I'll go with a 3-0. And I'll go Tav penalty as well. I'll go Sholak and Tillman. Yeah,
I agree with you guys. I think there will be a few goals in this game as well. I've just got a feeling that I totally agree with Pete Lawrence here. I think Cantwell's going to come on and score, and I think he's just going to be that's going to be the moment, because he's going on about it in his press conferences, and coaches and players that he's worked with before. It needs to be loved, and I think if it starts off well, I think there could be a real good partnership between Rangers and Cantwell. Paul McGarrigle here says 4-0. Kent, Alfie, Tillman and Cantwell as well. That'd be good as well. But listen, that's us for tonight. Just want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in, and yeah, there was a lot to talk about tonight, and glad JB could get the issues about the ticket and off your chest, because it was needed, because I think we're all really frustrated about it. But just want to say thanks to you tonight, JB.
Yep, cheers. No, good to be on, and well done to Jock on his first pod as well.
Yeah, that's it. He's taking the words right out of my mouth. How did you find that tonight, Jock?
I really enjoyed it. Love it. Talking about Rangers, hard to beat.
That's it, exactly. Just want to say thanks to everybody for watching and listening. Just remember, drop us a like and subscribe. I think we're about 100 away from 5k likes on YouTube, so really trying to get there. That would be amazing for the channel. Jock did a wee bit of my job earlier on, promoting some of the articles, the player profiles on the website that we've got from Kai. Some really fantastic stuff in there. We've got articles on Whittaker, Raskin, Hagi and Cantwell. Go check them out. And the next pod, unless anything breaks, we might be back. We're either going to be doing a pod because Alfredo Morelos is off to Inter Milan, or Nicolas Raskin's holding a scarf above his head at Auchenhowie. But yeah, that'll be back on Saturday. But listen, thanks again everybody for watching, and we'll see you all again soon.